we take pride in each other. Seeing who's cheer on and support other who's is really uplifting and inspiring. It brings us to a place where we can face and accomplish our goals as a class. Sometimes those goals can be a little bit challenging to fight for, honestly. And I think we can all agree that this class has faced more adversity than any other class. From Hannah Graham to Rolling Stones, Martise Johnson and the Unite the Right rally, we have been at the center of national media for these past 4 years. Our home on grounds has been a place where we can cherish these grounds, but also a place where our students have felt threatened. We may have had the joy of seeing the rotunda reopen for the first time in years, but with that reopening, we also experienced torch-bearing alt-right marchers storm up the lawn and onto the rotunda. Though both happy and traumatic memories accompany our home, our class has persevered. We didn't choose the trials and tribulations that we've endured, but we did have a choice as to how we would respond. Would we stand united, or would we allow these circumstances to divide us? I am proud to say that our class chose to stand together. In each instance, our student leaders responded quickly, defining what community looked like. And collectively, we fortified our relationships with each other and leaned in to stand in for strength when we didn't know how to stand alone. These adversities that we've endured have taught us that we are strong, we are resilient, and we are the future leaders that are going to take our experiences and become agents for change. After traveling back to Charlottesville this spring, I can confirm that home is where the Who's are. In the airport, a woman behind me, if you can believe it, yelled, "Go Who's!" She must have seen the Virginia tags in my backpack. So as we walked towards the gate and we reminisced on our days as Who's and shared our love for UVA, it was just one of the most serendipitous moments that I've experienced. And so now I know that when I'm in the airport and I see random strangers wearing Virginia across their chest, I will be the one yelling at them. And so I get it. I feel the love of UVA too. And I'm really proud to finally be a part of the Virginia alumni family. So thank you all for being with us here this finals weekend. You've been here through really trying and triumphant times, and for that we are really forever grateful. Now, one last time with confidence, please share with me, when I say go, you say Who's. Go! Go! Thank you and congrats to the graduating class of 2018.
Each year, the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Committee selects 2 student recipients from the graduating class who best exemplify the highest qualities of Algernon Sidney Sullivan's life. The committee also selects an individual from the university community whose compassion, service, and influence is widely acknowledged and appreciated. All of the recipients of this award possess fine qualities practically applied in their daily living. They are distinctly defined by their acts. Their deeds are not spent on their self-interest, but rather in the interest of the community and humankind. They represent our highest ideals and our greatest hopes. Please hold your applause until I've read all 3 citations. Compassionate, caring, and focused on others, Maeve Curtin is deeply moved by the stories of those around her and driven by a desire to help and support them. Whether baking cookies for a friend who had a bad week or serving as a leader in the Best Buddies organization since high school and still today, Maeve is motivated by the needs of others, often to the exclusion of her own. Maeve is trusted by her friends and others in the community as she exhibits amazing depth of character. One friend described Maeve as driven by what is good and right. She is the friend and person in the room who will call BS whether or not it's the popular thing to do in public or in private. She has consistently worked for inclusivity and tried to ensure that all voices are heard in dialogue and decision-making. She's been involved in more initiatives at the university than one can count. She is not often the formal leader of the organizations she supports, but rather the informal leader who works behind the scenes to ensure that objectives are met with an overarching care for those who are to be served. Her involvements are all deeply meaningful and focused on empathy and care. Sustained dialogue, green dot, community engagement through countless channels, all service and impact-oriented. She is a mentor and a friend to many who admire her integrity, resolve, and sense of justice and fairness. Maeve seeks to build connection and community among all whom she encounters. She has a unique view of success, one that values the journey, the people you meet, and the relationships you create along the way. Many call her Lawn Mom because her room is always open to friends and strangers alike. Maeve derives energy and inspiration from creating experiences that build a network of care and support that make all feel welcome. A quiet and humble leader, Tyler Ambrose served as the co-chair of Housing and Residence Life this year, creating welcoming communities across grounds through collaboration and relationships formed with peers and professionals alike. A man described as possessing radical humility, Tyler is intentional, thoughtful, and never assumes that he has the answer. He always listens and carefully considers the perspectives of others before making a decision. A true servant leader, Tyler is motivated by the success of those around him and a desire to leave the university community better than how he found it. As one of the leaders of resident staff, he continued to shepherd the 240-member organization through its much-needed training while the chaos of August 11th and 12th waged on nearby. He put aside his own fears and concerns regarding the events and sought to ensure that others felt safe and supported, taking time to meet individually with other staffers who were struggling to come to terms with these terrible events in our community. Tyler encouraged them and helped them create a welcoming space for all who entered in the days that followed. Tyler is also a talented student, a Ridley Flagship Scholar, who has worked to ensure that Ridley finalists experience the university as a place of welcome and support during their selection weekend. He brings the same message of openness and care to his role as president of the Black Male Initiative, striving to combat negative perspectives of blackness and toxic masculinity at UVA. Through many of his roles, he serves as a mentor and guide of the Black community and so many others on grounds. Tyler's involvement with staff, residents, and diverse communities have allowed his warmth, compassion, and steadfast friendship to shape the experiences of so many, allowing him to meet his goal of leaving this university a better place and allowing many of us to be better for having known him. Few people do not know the face, the voice, or the joyful laugh of Tabitha Enoch. A staff member at the university for nearly 2 decades, Tab has been the welcoming presence for new students and families for most of her tenure. As the Assistant Dean and Director of Orientation and New Student Programs, Tab is passionate about ensuring first-year and transfer students transition into the university feeling at home and included. Tab's exuberance and positive attitude are infectious and provide an immediate sense that you are an important new member of this community. Beyond the support she provides to students, her student orientation team, and the many colleagues with whom she works across the grounds, Tab is a driving force for creating awareness and competency in diversity and inclusion at the university. Tab created the first faculty-sustained dialogue group, was a member of a project team that created Who's In, a program that provides education about diversity and inclusion for faculty and staff, and helped develop a course on multicultural fluency. She also provides a place of welcome for African American women joining the university community as employees. Regardless of the position, the rank, or the department, Tab reaches out to these new employees and invites them to join the Sister Club, a group that now reaches beyond the grounds to include women from outside of UVA. One member described the Sister Circle as the group for professional Black women in Charlottesville. Tab has a way of approaching everyone and making them feel cared for, important, and included. She has never known a stranger. When you are going to a meeting with Tab, you need to make sure to build in extra time for all the people you will encounter along the way, with whom she always acknowledges with a, "Hey girl," or a "Good to see you." Tab finds joy in bringing other people joy. It's in her DNA. It's who she is, and the university is more joyful and vibrant with her a part of it. Please join me in congratulating Maeve Curtin, Tyler Ambrose, and Tabitha Enoch, this year's recipients of the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award.
Valediction each year, the Seventh Society presents 2 unique awards: the Louis A. Honesty Memorial Scholar Athlete Award and the James Earl Sargent Award, which are given annually to an outstanding student athlete and a student organization that make major contributions to the university community. This year, the Louis A. Honesty Memorial Scholar Athlete Award recognizes 2 outstanding athletes, Lauren Moses and Haley Fauntleroy, for the significant impact they've made on their respective teams and the university community as a whole. Over the course of her 4 years as a member of the women's basketball team, Lauren Moses demonstrated all of the qualities that are required to be a successful scholar athlete. Lauren scored a total of 1,047 points in 129 games, making her the 34th member of the women's basketball program to be inducted into the UVA 1,000-point club. In her final season, Lauren led the Cavaliers to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2010, a campaign highlighted by a first-round victory upset over 7th-seeded California. Outside of her athletic engagements, Lauren devoted her time to mentoring young students at Zion Union Baptist Church and working as a sports journalist for WUVA. Lauren, who served as a team captain for her final 2 seasons, was selected to the ACC All-Academic Team twice during her collegiate career. According to her coach, Joanne Boyle, Lauren has set a standard for what the culture of a successful program looks like and exemplifies what it means to be selfless, hardworking, humble, passionate, and caring. She continually took the initiative to find ways to help our program succeed at the highest level. Similarly, Haley Fauntleroy has exemplified extraordinary dedication to both the athletic department and the greater university community. She served on the women's volleyball team for the past 4 years, ending her distinguished career as team captain. Haley embodied the university standards of leadership as a dominant presence on the court and a thoughtful steward of the program off of it. She served as an orientation leader, a council member of UVA's Student Athlete Mentor Program, an executive on the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, a class of 2018 trustee, and a member of the Kappa Delta sorority. Furthermore, Haley has been an advocate for survivors of sexual assault and interpersonal violence through her involvement in programs such as Take Back the Night, One Love, and Green Dot. Finally, Haley is a dutiful scholar, having been recognized as an ACC Scholar Athlete. Her coach, Aaron Smith, described her as someone who is a constant motivator for every single person on the team. She has always been looked at by her teammates as loyal, hardworking, and passionate. It takes a pretty special person to make it at UVA. Haley not only made it, but excelled. I'm incredibly honored to present the Louis A. Honesty Memorial Scholar Athlete Award to not one, but 2 of my class of 2018 peers, Lauren Moses and Haley Fauntleroy. Lauren and Haley, please come forward. This year, the James Earl Sargent Award goes to the Tough Armenia Project. Tough Armenia seeks to provide housing relief to Armenians who were affected by the 1988 earthquake. More than a quarter century later, destruction is still evident as earthquake survivors continue to live in temporary housing. The organization is led by students in the University School of Engineering and Applied Science, who research, design, and build new structures for the families in Gyumri, the 2nd most populous city in Armenia that was badly damaged by the earthquake. The group's approach has included learning about the unique needs of the community, understanding available material and human resources for that region, and designing accordingly. Aside from the impact it has had on the residents of Gyumri, TUF Armenia has blazed a new path for global and interdisciplinary organizations at the university. The program has included students in the university's School of Architecture, as well as the Global Development Studies program, and has set a new standard for engaging multiple departments and schools. TUF Armenia has also allowed eager students the opportunity to apply their learning to a real issue that at its core is about serving others. It is for these reasons that the Seven Society recognizes TUF Armenia and its founder, Leon Yakubian, who is graduating from the School of Engineering on Sunday. Leon, please come forward to accept the award.
Each year, the trustees of the graduating class bestow 3 awards upon students of their class who have significantly impacted the university. These awards include the Award for Community Service, the Award for Cultural Fluency, and this year, the Miss Cathy Award. The Community Service Award was established in 1993 and honors a graduating student who has endeavored to enrich the university and Charlottesville communities through service. This year, we would like to recognize Paula Sanchez Valdez. In her time as a university student, Paula has spearheaded movements at UVA that advocate for the rights of Latinx and undocumented students. She has also founded 2 student organizations, Plumas, Political Latinxes United for Movement and Action in Society, and Dreamers. As president of Dreamers, Paula has led with the sole mission of service first, to have a positive impact on the lives of students who need support most. Paula has worked with administrators to ensure that the university would protect its undocumented students and has developed a strong network of allies on grounds. A fellow student remarked that Paula's humility has been an inspiration to me, and she's helped me understand how important it is to be humble, especially as an advocate. Paula has also served as a Big Sister mentor and mentoring group facilitator in the Young Women Leaders program at a local middle school in Charlottesville. She then used the knowledge she gained while working with the Leaders program to establish a sister site, Rompiendo Frontera, in her hometown of Quito, Ecuador. Additionally, she has spoken at many local events in Charlottesville, including the Youth Next Center. In all her actions, Paula's dedication and investment to the student community, the local youth, and those in Quito are undeniably powerful. Paula's leadership strength lies not in any desire for power or influence, but in her passion to truly help the people in her community. Please join me in recognizing Ms. Paula Sanchez Valdez. Established in 1996, the Trustees Cultural Fluency Award recognizes a graduating student who has demonstrated an understanding of and appreciation for cultural and intellectual diversity during their tenure as a student. This year, we would like to recognize Nevada Kanapati. Here at UVA, Nevada has worked with the Human Rights Commission as part of the Student Council. She has been instrumental in coordinating a multitude of community dialogues with students and citizens of Charlottesville in order to strengthen this community that is full of diversity. Nevada has served as president of the UVA chapter of Girl Up, a campaign of the UN Foundation that inspires students to address and engage in women's issues on a global scale. Outside of UVA, Nevada has been a recipient of various research grants to study public health, specifically to address the vast inequities in reproductive health care in India. One of her fellow students remarked, "At the core of research is a deep understanding and appreciation for other cultures and different individuals who are marginalized. I think her greatest strength has been the ways she engages all types of differences, from people of different genders to sexual orientations to abilities. The Universal Access Project, funded by the United Nations Foundation, named her a Why We Care champion, and she has been invited to the Clinton Global Initiative University Commitments to Action program. Both of these accomplishments serve as a testament to how Nevada has transcended cultural barriers and how she will continue to create cultural impact in the years to come. Please join me in recognizing Ms. Nevada Kanapati. The class of 2018 trustees are excited to present the first ever Miss Cathy Award, which recognizes a graduating student who exudes inexhaustible kindness, infectious positivity, and a consistently good nature, just like our beloved Miss Cathy. This year, we would like to recognize Sarah Brotman. Sarah's selflessness is something that we do not see very often in today's world. She is constantly giving to others with absolutely no expectation or desire for anything in return. Each one of Sarah's interactions is just as friendly and welcoming as the next, and this extends far beyond her inner circle of friends. Sarah is an intentional listener and shows genuine compassion for others, hoping to brighten the day of each person she encounters. She has an amazing ability to keep mental notes on the lives of those around her, and she truly encourages them to be the best version of themselves. One fellow student remarked, "She frequently leaves encouraging notes and always texts me a pump-up message before any test, performance, interview, or big life event. She sees the best in everyone and makes sure you understand how much she believes in you." At the university, Sarah regularly participates in community service, serves as the philanthropy chair of her fraternity, and volunteers her time to serve the homeless community in Charlottesville. This work spans from merely taking time out of her day to aid the homeless on the corner, to bringing this passion inside the classroom and working on projects to address homelessness in our community. This award is a testament in Sarah's selfless character, fierce friendship, and daily positivity. It signifies a massive thank you from everyone who she has positively impacted through her years at UVA. Please join me in recognizing Ms. Sarah Brotman.
The Society of the Purple Shadows seeks to recognize those exceedingly rare individuals who both selflessly contribute to the university and advocate vigorously for those institutions that make student life so uniquely meaningful. It is in this spirit that the Society presents the 2018 Gordon F. Rainey Jr. Award for Vigilance to the Student Experience. With great pride, the Society announces this year's recipient, Dean Alan Groves. The university community has watched in awe at how quickly and successfully you have thrived since the first days of your tenure as the university's Dean of Students in 2007. It is apparent that graduating from the University School of Law in 1990 shaped your perspective, for your efforts have been critical to the preservation of student self-governance as a core tenet of life on grounds. Your work ethic is unparalleled, and you consistently work early in the morning to late into the night. This stewardship is an example to all, ranging from the eager incoming students to the leaders of the fourth-year class. Over the last decade, student life at the university has experienced unparalleled successes, as well as tremendous adversity. Your leadership has been instrumental in helping students achieve remarkable outcomes and also recover from times of hardship. This fall, you stood tall with the students on the evening of August 11th and were injured in the process. This certainly is not in your job description, but you took action because it is in your nature to put the students' needs ahead of your own. This is one of the most admirable feats of fortitude the university has seen, and it came arguably during one of the greatest times of need. Woodrow Wilson once said, "No man can sit down and withhold his hands from the warfare against wrong and get peace from its acquiescence." Dean Groves, continue to right all wrongs you encounter, no matter the severity. Your actions set the standard for all students, faculty, and administrators who walk the colonnades, and the society hopes that you continue to honorably serve the university. For you, Dean Groves, are one the university is proud to call her own.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Long.
And I'm Adib Chaudhry.
And we are the co-chairs of the 2018 Class Giving Campaign.
We'd like to briefly recognize the members of our committee who worked so hard to make this campaign possible. McLean Fayette, Mallory Leidinger, Connor Graham, Aaron Murphy, Amy Dalrymple, Jenny Huss, and Jane Cantros. And of course, we'd also like to thank Malcolm Stewart, Diane DaCosta, and Mandy Fogarty for all their continued help and support. We are incredibly grateful to have been able to work with each of you this past year. Thank you for your service to the class of 2018.
Joan Didion once wrote, "A place belongs forever to whoever claims it hardest, remembers it most obsessively, wrenches it from itself, shapes it, renders it, loves it so radically that he remakes it in its image." As students of this university, we have spent our time here claiming this place in myriad ways, each of us working to wrench and render UVA in our own images. But that claiming and remembering doesn't stop once we walk down this lawn and leave for whatever adventures and opportunities await us outside of this place. Through the Class Giving Campaign, our class has chosen specific aspects of the university to give back to: schools and departments, performing groups, publications, club sports teams, cultural groups, the list goes on. Through these gifts, we each have helped to remake UVA in our own way, our own image, to remember what made our time here so special, and to make UVA a better place for those who come after us.
This year, 40% of fourth-year students, over 1,444 students, participated in class giving, with funds designated to more than 400 organizations and departments across grounds. On behalf of the university, we want to say thank you for leaving your legacy through your participation in our class campaign. We hope that this tradition of giving back is something for which our class will always be remembered, and we hope that you will continue to give to UVA in the future.
President Sullivan, on behalf of the class of 2018, we are pleased to present to you this check for $63,597. Congratulations, class of 2018.
Thank you, Ms. Long, Mr. Chaudhry, trustees, and members of the class of 2018. Class of 2018 did a remarkable job. I'm grateful for your generosity and for the many ways your gift will enhance the university. Trustees of the class of 2018 are continuing the one-year undesignated gift program adopted by the class of 1997. The class gift has become quite a tradition here. The program offers each student the opportunity to make a cash gift and to direct it to the areas of the university that are most meaningful to him or to her. More than 400 programs benefited from the generosity of this class. The giving is distributed broadly across the university. This year, the beneficiaries of the gift include various schools and departments, the University Library, Madison House, the Office of African American Affairs, the Women's Center, the Fralin Museum of Art, the Cavalier Marching Band, and other arts organizations. More than 250 student organizations and 50 sorority and fraternity foundations, and the Virginia Athletics Foundation. I hope that your interest in and support for these programs will continue through the years. The nearly 1,500 members of your class who participated in the class giving program will leave an enduring mark on the university. Your gift will strengthen us and remind us of the generous spirit of the class of 2018. And before we continue with the program, let me draw your attention to one feature of this wonderful weekend that happened a few hours ago. Among the many graduation events this weekend was the ROTC commissioning exercises. Members of the class of 2018 who will serve our country in the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines received their commissions earlier this afternoon. When you see our graduating students in uniform this weekend, I hope you will congratulate them and thank them for their service to our country. These women and men have chosen a future based on service to our nation, and they deserve our recognition and gratitude. And thank you all for being here to celebrate this important milestone for our students.
I'm going to ask you all to power clap with me on 3. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. I do that at a lot of my meetings to energize a room, and I just had to do it one last time. My trustees are laughing. Friends, family, and the class of 2018. Almost 4 years ago, we sat nervously at convocation, facing the rotunda, many of us in unplanned yet nearly coordinated pastel attire. We anxiously waited with a healthy dose of self-consciousness and excitement as we began to imagine the path that our collegiate years would take us. And here we are now, years later, with arguably more individualized fashion sense, facing the other end of the lawn, or just comfortably on JPJ, with a world of possibilities ahead of us, still excited, maybe still a bit nervous, reflecting on the growth we've experienced since our journey here started together. Along the way, there have been some remarkable people who have supported us and shaped our invaluable experiences. So let's take a moment to recognize those who made our time here so special. First, thank you to those who don't receive enough credit. Those who keep our buildings and grounds looking spectacular and feeling like home. From every well-kept library, perfectly set classroom, and breathtaking garden, we've been blessed with beautiful places to learn, dine, and capture on our Snapchat stories. We're grateful for the time you take to hang lights with us along the colonnades for lighting of the lawn, keep our grounds immaculate, and operate the day-to-day functions of the spaces we couldn't live without. Thank you to the City of Charlottesville for welcoming us into your community, providing us with beautiful environments to explore, art to enjoy, restaurants to love, and community organizations that became second homes. You've been a much-needed escape and a breath of fresh air when the depths of Alderman have become too stuffy. When we return not only back to grounds, but to this beautiful city and its vibrant, resilient community. Charlottesville has certainly grown to have a special place in our hearts. I'd also like to extend a huge thank you to the administrators of the university. You've provided us with support when we've needed it most. We came running to your offices looking for guidance and leadership, and you still kept your doors open. Thank you for helping us grow, responding to our sometimes frantic emails, and juggling the many responsibilities that make our experiences possible. To the professors who have challenged us to see new perspectives, become our role models, and fostered our love for learning, thank you. You have pushed us to pursue our passions, excited us with your research, and connected us with many resources and opportunities to further our careers, and sometimes even welcomed us into your own homes. You exemplify what it means to be a part of a community of living and learning, the vision for this university, and we are thankful that you've provided that to us. To the classes that have come before us, thank you for being our mentors, providing us guidance, friendship, and showing us a peek into life after graduation. To the classes that come after us, thank you for listening to our advice, making us feel valued, and letting us know that the university is in good hands. And we're excited to sleep on your couches when we come back to visit. And to our families and loved ones, we couldn't have done it without you. We may have called home fewer and fewer times or spent more time away over the years, but regardless of the distance, we always knew we had your love and support. Maybe the calls usually started with, "Hey, can I have?" or our visits were accompanied with mountains of laundry, Mom, you know. But you were always there to answer our important questions. We wouldn't be the young adults we are without the lessons that you have taught us along the way. We will forever be grateful for the sacrifices you've made and the opportunities you provided us, and we truly do love you. Finally, class of 2018, thank you all for being the most resilient, inspiring, and strong classmates that anyone could ask for. Thank you for being the ones to bring us soup when we were sick, wake us up when we missed our alarms, or to post congratulatory Facebook comments and statuses so others knew about our accomplishments. Thank you for being a chosen family. Thank you for being the ones to pick up our ecstatic or tearful phone calls, speaking up when we felt silenced, and supporting us to make it through a challenging 4 years. I am endlessly impressed by the character of our class, the leadership we've provided, and the care we've given one another. Although we will walk the lawn on 2 separate days and leave to go our separate ways, we each carry the class of 2018 in our hearts. You are truly a family and have made this experience of being in and serving this class invaluable, and for that, I thank you. Congratulations, class of 2018.
Class of 2018, friends, families, faculty, and staff. My name is Eric Roberts, and today I have the pleasure of introducing to you all our valedictory exercises speaker, 2-time Super Bowl champion, renowned philanthropist, and alumnus, Mr. Chris Long. Through and through, Mr. Long is a Charlottesvillian and a Who. While at UVA, he pursued a degree in sociology while playing under longtime head football coach Al Groh. Mr. Long, who was selected as team captain in his 3rd and 4th years, had an outstanding football career at UVA. In his final season as a Cavalier, he was unanimously selected as a first-team All-American, voted the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and he earned the Bill Dudley Award for the best college football player in the state of Virginia. His jersey, number 91, was retired before his final game at Scott Stadium. In 2008, he was drafted second overall to the St. Louis Rams. Over the past 10 seasons, he has played for St. Louis, New England, and now with Philadelphia, picking up Super Bowl rings with the Patriots and the Eagles in each of the last 2 seasons. Now, as a devout Cowboys fan, it is very hard for me to stand up here and look happy about saying that. But I truly am happy for Chris Long, and not as happy for my friends who are gloating out in the audience right now. Something I think we can all get behind, regardless of our NFL team affiliations, is that Mr. Long's actions off the field have been equally noteworthy, if not more so, than his accomplishments in football. He became interested in water scarcity in 2013 after climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. Struck by the beauty of the country, juxtaposed against the pains of water insecurity, Chris started the Water Boys Initiative to bring NFL players, fans, corporate sponsors, and other organizations together to raise awareness for the consequences of water scarcity, as well as money to build sustainable water wells in East Africa. Since 2015, the Chris Long Foundation and the Water Boys Initiative have raised $1.75 million, enough to build 35 wells and service over 100,000 people. Mr. Long's actions both on and off, on the home front, Mr. Long is incredibly dedicated to educational equality. At the beginning of the 2017 football season, he announced that he would be donating his first 6 game checks to establish 2 7-year scholarships at the St. Anne's Belfield School right here in Charlottesville. But he didn't stop there. Later in the season, he announced he would donate his remaining 10 game checks to organizations dedicated to educational equity and opportunity in the places where Chris has played professionally. Mr. Long's actions, both on and off the field, have been guided by a profound sense of urgency to make the most of the present moment, to utilize his platform to spread worthwhile messages and make a difference where he can. He has set an amazing example of what it looks like to strive for something bigger than yourself and to not take any moment for granted. I think we are very lucky to have him here today and to have him as a member of our Wahoo family. With that, I'd love to invite Mr. Chris Long to the podium.
I don't need the programs. I know where we are. A little nerve-wracking. Thank you, Eric, for the kind introduction. President Sullivan, esteemed faculty and staff, families and friends, and most importantly, the architects of what will be the class of 2018. Thank you to my parents, Howie and Diane, my wife, Meg, and a handful of friends in attendance. Thank you to my 2-year-old son, Waylon, who's sitting at home streaming this live on all 6 of his Apple devices. You think millennials are bad. We limit his screen time. Eric was good enough to highlight some of my athletic achievements. Full disclosure, I was a bit of a slow starter, to say the least. You know, my whole football career, I wanted to carry the ball. I wanted to get the glory. I waited until 7th grade. I got my first carry. I came out of the backfield, and I tripped over a blade of grass for a 3-yard loss in front of all my classmates. At 8 years old, I waited 5 long basketball games to score my first points of the season, and it was on the wrong goal. True story. And here's the kicker. I may be the only Little League baseball player in Charlottesville history to hit a home run and be called out for not touching home plate. Let that sink in. A grown man, an umpire, looked at a kid hit a home run, watched him circle the bases, miss home plate, and he had a decision to make. Is he gonna enforce the rules of the game, or is he gonna let the 12-year-old enjoy his day? Woo. I forgive you though, I'm not naming names, that was cathartic. But if you take one thing away from this speech, it's that if you go out into the world and launch your careers as Little League umpires, and many of you will, wield that power responsibly. I did a little reading on who's been tasked with speaking here in the past, and I noticed that last year the president of Columbia gave this talk. Interesting fact about me, and I didn't see this in my bio, Eric, is that I was the president of my fantasy basketball league. And I know President Santos probably has an extremely difficult job, but have you ever had to collect entry fees from 15 NFL football players with ADD? That's intimidating. But when you hear the intimidating and humbling news that you'll be addressing the greatness in this room, and I mean that, what do? After you wonder if you received the invitation in error, you accept it, and then you panic. And then you Google how to write a great speech. Kind of like some of you all write papers. I'm not sure if you do that anymore. I actually grew up on Cliff Notes for the parents out there, physical copies. Google tells me to make eye contact and to speak clearly. One of history's great speakers, Cicero, his key tenets of public speaking underscored knowing your audience. I know that many of you in the crowd are hungover. You are. How do I get the biggest applause there? It's the weekend. I see some of y'all sweating and the AC's nice, but I'll keep it as brief as I can. But really, one of the things that was suggested was relating to the room. And what jumped out at me is for the next 48 hours or so, we have one big thing in common. None of us have our degrees. And I'm not proud of that. That's right. It's awkward for me to give you all life advice without that achievement myself. And I wonder what that means. And quite literally, it means that we've experienced a lot of the same things, but you had the resolve or the time to finish. Yet you still voted me to address you, and I am humbled by that. You see, if you admire things I've done, the feeling is mutual, truly. Ironically, one of my favorite quotes is a simple one by Emerson, and I attempt to live by it. But it says, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." So thank you for indulging the words of someone who is without what you are rightfully celebrating this weekend, a college degree from this great university. So what does this paper mean? What does it mean to cross this threshold? What is success? A lot of people will tell you that Sunday is a momentous day. It will be. That this is success. And that's true in a lot of ways. You have met a goal. They'll say that after this weekend expires, the grounds will become eerily quiet, and you'll go off in the world as adults. Maybe. Keep that in mind. I believe that this weekend is a marker of completing an experience. This isn't the realization of your potential. This isn't your pinnacle. This isn't a destination. This marker may mean something different to everyone. Some of you may be the first college graduates in your family, and that is awesome. Some of you may be part of a long tradition of educational excellence, and you earned it. Whatever your story is, you should be tremendously proud. But this is just the beginning. A lot of people from out of town are perplexed at our terminology marking progress towards ending this experience. First years, second years, and so on. There's something to it, though. Jefferson believed that learning continues far beyond your formal education. He's right. You're not seniors closing in on a destination. You never know. Maybe the next Georgia O'Keeffe, Rita Dove, Edgar Allan Poe, Emily Couric are sitting right here in these seats. If you get a chance, be Malcolm Brogdon. That works too. But you gotta have a jump shot. And if you look at this weekend as a destination or a crowning achievement, it becomes less likely that you'll be one of those forces in the world. Years from now, you may not retain all of the subject matter. You absolutely will not remember this speech, I'm sure of that. And you will, however, remember quite clearly your experiences and how this place made you feel. I believe the most important feeling that I experienced here is failure. Last night I reviewed the tape, like in football. I took to YouTube to hear what President Santos had to say last year. I was both encouraged and mortified to hear that one of his biggest themes was failures. I felt good knowing that we share that sentiment, but I assure you, there is no violation of the honor code going on here. This is my speech. He even quoted Emerson, and I was like, dude, come on. Work with me here, Mr. President. Life is made up of more failures than successes, and so are my remarks. In my experience, there's nothing more valuable than that uncomfortable, sobering feeling in your gut when you hit rock bottom, when you question your purpose and your direction. When I arrived at UVA in the fall of '04, a local kid finding my way, held to high standards. Even with everything at my fingertips, I struggled. I struggled in the classroom, I struggled on the field. I wasn't outwardly a failure, but I was disappointed in myself in many ways. I've never said this publicly, but I almost transferred early on in my UVA career. We all have moments where we feel failure. Nick Foles, who delivered Philly its long overdue first football championship, is suddenly a household name. Eagles fans, where you at? Sorry, E. Nick helped us score 41 points this February on the world's biggest stage, outdueling the greatest quarterback of all time. And the crazy part was, Nick was considered a backup. As the smoke cleared and hundreds of reporters clamored around the podium to hear the most unlikely success story in sports today, talk about success, he did the unexpected. Immediately, the most impactful feeling he talked about was failure. Nick has failed many times. He's been cut, traded, he's been written off, he almost quit football. When someone talks about failure, he said, he listens. He listens because it's authentic, it's relatable. The human condition is woven with the fabric of falling short. One of the most disarming and respectable things about a human being can be owning those failures. Nick also touched on something that I firmly believe in, that one of the things we become most proficient at in 2018 is projecting a highlight reel. Through our conversations, our symbols of status, our holiday cards, and especially social media, it forces us to look at our peers and the people around us through a lens of unrealistic favorability. We constantly imagine what it'd be like to be someone else, living their perfect life. I do it too. You realize that ultimately, it's the perception of reality around us, not just the photographs we share, that are being filtered. And I prefer Valencia as a filter. It brings out my eyes. So, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm afraid to fail all the time, but what you learn at UVA is that failure is an opportunity. Anything worthwhile I've ever done, I was afraid. This is where the feelings of fear and failure so naturally intertwine. I feared not fitting in a community of brilliant minds when the biggest thing I bring to the table is playing a violent game. I was scared to talk to you today. You're terrifying people. Maybe it's comforting to know that the successful adult that you allow to address you is afraid. I'm also currently afraid of what my future holds as I prepare to transition into my next career, whatever that is, in a year or two. Everyone fears change, but with luck, you'll learn that oftentimes, fear breeds your most fulfilling accomplishments. In 2014, that life's work that I referred to was in jeopardy. I'd had a lot of good days, individual successes throughout my 8 years as a member of the St. Louis Rams. But on this day, following 2 years of injuries and bad luck, I got the dreaded call. I was about to be informed that I was going to face the thing that every football player dreads, and that's getting fired. Now, getting fired absolutely sucks, but when you get fired on ESPN, it's a whole nother ball game. I went from team captain to unemployed in a year. I wondered if my career was a failure. I faced what could be my last career decision. I got a number of calls from teams that had turnkey opportunities for me, but they were low-ceiling choices. I'd get paid well and look successful, but I wasn't sold. A few days later, I was strolling through an aisle in Harris Teeter, grabbing a six-pack of beer to go home and reflect on the intersection at which I stood. My phone rang. Hi, Chris, Bill Belichick. I can't imitate him, and I won't. Thank God I got cell service in that beer aisle. He made no guarantees. New England wasn't a perfect football fit. I'd have to carve out a role. Should I make the safer, lower-risk bet and sign with another team? No, I took a gamble, and a year later, I was a world champion. But before I was a champion, I failed, and I was afraid. You learn that the most worthwhile exercises are preceded by this very human phenomenon. Fear, marriage, parenthood, career decisions, speaking your mind on issues that are important to you. I challenge you to welcome fears and fail from time to time. Mark Twain said, "Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear." It's comforting to think that some of my favorite fearless historical figures are often misclassified as fearless. They fear, but they master it. Fear nothing is a bad bumper sticker. It's a cut-off t-shirt. That's all it is. And I, for instance, have a healthy fear of whoever's driving that car wearing that t-shirt. Fear is, in fact, a part of our genetic makeup. Animals are born with an innate, healthy sense of fear developed over eons in order to stay alive. Fear dictates much of their day, and rightfully so. Human beings have healthy fears as well. We'd all be wisely afraid to run out in front of the horses at Foxfield. I don't know if any of y'all have tried it. It's a bad idea. Good thing we have fears like those. But somewhere along the way, the important thing is that people have succumbed to fears ingrained in us by societal pressures. This achievement has afforded you a certain standing. It's given you a kind of safety net. I hope that you'll consider testing it out from time to time, not out of complacency or laziness, but because you take bold chances. Life's most fulfilling journeys begin with this basic evolutionary and sometimes socially constructed feeling. We all know that this place can humble you. The world isn't much different, but you got a head start because of what you experienced here. I hope you realize that just as you aren't wholly responsible for the temporary feeling of failure, you aren't the sole owner of your successes either. Many of the people who altered your course for the better or gave you a little bit of extra encouragement are by your side this weekend. Tell them you love them and you appreciate them, and not just when the weekend ends. For all the successes in this room, we often fail that course. I think about my college head coach, Al Groh, who's empowered me at every turn in the road. He didn't always tell me what I wanted to hear, but it was often what I needed to hear. Before this past season, I needed a little nudge of encouragement. I was burnt out. I was thinking about quitting. More than 10 years after we parted ways as coach and player here on grounds, there he was, sitting in my kitchen for 2 hours, telling me why I should follow through and give it one more year. His advice altered my course. A simple nudge gave me one of the best years of my life. These are the type of people you meet here at a special place like this. Thank you, Al Groh. Eric talked about our Pledge 10 stuff, our educational equity campaign. A lot of people praised it. But even when things are going well, you second guess yourself. You wonder if you're making a difference. I'll never forget one interaction, though, that made me feel validation and motivation. I was walking downtown, and I run into a guy, an honest working man with a platform much smaller than mine. He thanked me for what I did, and I said, listen, it's my pleasure. But one thing he told me absolutely blew me away. He told me that he had followed suit by donating a month of his hard-earned salary to charity. And in the end, I may have inspired him, but he turned right around and encouraged me. And Pledge 10 was a success, but interactions like that made it fulfilling and made me want to do more. Years ago, in the prime of my career, from the outside looking in, I was living the dream. Pro athlete, making money to play a game, but I felt largely empty. I wanted to be more complete, more balanced, and while many people dream of playing in the NFL, I was jealous of people that travel the world finding fulfillment. I daydreamed about having the freedom to wander. So as Eric mentioned, I went to Tanzania, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro for fun, selfishly. I came for a personal challenge, but I left with fulfillment in the form of service. and our Water Boys initiative was born. That mountain that drew me in selfishly has become our magnet for people trying to help others. Every year, we bring retired players and wounded armed service veterans to the top of that mountain to raise money for clean water. And it's one of the single most fulfilling teams I've ever been on each year. This university encouraged me to be a complete human being, not just what I do for a living, and there's a difference. Just this week, as I struggled putting the finishing touches on my remarks, my wife, Meg, crossed a million things off our to-do list. She's buzzing around the house, and I'm sitting there hunched over my laptop all nervous. But she gave me just the encouragement that I needed to get by. She smiled and said, "You've been working hard, very hard on your speech." And I said, "Thank you." And then she said, "This expletive better be good." Thank you, Meg. I'm proud to say that I found true love here at UVA, and we all need love and encouragement on good and bad days. And then there's going to be days where it really doesn't fall under either category. We live in a society that's so binary. It's either a win or a loss. Most days of our lives fall somewhere in the middle. Over the years, I've heard people repeatedly tell people, approach every day like it's your last. In football, the cliche is play every play like it's your last. But the problem is no one knows what that directive feels like until it's too late. I prefer the idea of approaching every day like it's your first. As vividly as I remember any day I spent on grounds, I remember my first, sitting in my parents' kitchen the night before, logging into my UVA email for the first time. It was magical. I felt like I'd just opened a portal into a new dimension of uncharted territory and endless possibility. I could do anything that day, and I was willing to do it. On days like these, we make a lot of promises to ourselves, but they fade quickly, and you know exactly what I'm talking about when you start something and then you get into the dog days. Take a mental picture of those days, and when you need to, remind yourself of that willingness to do whatever it takes. Remind yourself how you approached that day with childlike enthusiasm. Speaking of acting your age, in about 48 hours, a lot of people will tell you that you're a grown-up, an adult. In the dictionary at least, which is a great book, I read it from time to time, adult is defined as a person who is fully grown or developed. And that has to be one of the most dangerous definitions or concepts in the dictionary, or outside the dictionary for that matter. What a complacent, stagnant, dangerous world it would be if everyone ceased evolving, pushing their inner limits and changing for the better. If people stopped relentlessly asking why, and more importantly, why not, just like kids do. I'm proud to say that I'm not an adult by that definition, and I never will be. For that reason, I have a very unorthodox wish for you. I hope that you never reach your destination. Now follow me on this. As individuals, we're not much different than this very university. Just as you should never feel comfortable arriving at a destination, neither should this great institution. Over the past 2 centuries, this place has evolved because of people like you. It is a living organism made up of individuals who have asked why and why not, and risen to various challenges. The world is no different. It wasn't until the 50s that an African-American student had to file a lawsuit in order to join this academic experience. Women weren't admitted here until the 70s. Even now, our great nation, we sometimes struggle to live up to our ideals. We have people that'll justify telling who can love who and can't, but they'll sit there and do mental gymnastics to defend hate. Whether it's this esteemed university or America, if you love something, look at it critically and improve it. Tend to it. That's school pride, and that's patriotism. Progress is not self-sustaining. Complacency is widespread. Hatred is rampant. What descended upon our community this past August shows loud and clear that we haven't progressed as far as we think. And it's a reminder that in times like these, we need people that will rise to the challenge and stand in the storm that's raging between right and wrong, not sitting back and saying, he's got it, she's got it. We need more people saying, I got it. And there are plenty of you in the crowd. In football, we call that inaction, waiting for someone else to make a play. Don't do it. Accept the challenge here and in the communities that you will soon call home. Dr. King said, "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." This world we live in, for all its beauty, is a work in progress, and it needs your action. So there are no finished products, no destinations, no such thing as adulthood, but there are markers of accomplishment, success, and ultimately experience. I wish you at least a handful of momentous validations throughout your life. Just don't forget to chase fulfillment with those accomplishments. Something society deems measurably successful we know can be hollow. So what's the point? What's the point of this threshold? What's the point of any validation? If you're really lucky, you get 100 years on this planet and the clock's already ticking. How do you live a successful life? I really don't know because I'm not done learning, but I believe from being around people that Rohan referenced, which are called servant leaders, I believe that life is a success. Life is a success if it's defined less by these markers and validations than it is defined by how you make people feel for having known you. I've been lucky to meet people that made me feel. I think they're successful. I used to be envious of musicians and artists. I wish I could sing like Chris Stapleton or paint like Magritte. But somewhere along the way, I realized that your occupation or your standing in society doesn't preclude you from making people feel. Every day, every interaction, every time the world gives you a good break, you have an opportunity to reach out, encourage, and empower. You may be a speck on a rock hurling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. I had to Google that. And it may make you question the gravity of your good deeds. The truth is that no opportunity to impose your will for good is too small. Sunday, you'll receive your well-deserved, hard-earned piece of paper that signifies this experience. But you don't need it. You are your degree. You are the wonderful collection of experiences. You are Charlottesville, this community, this university, your peers, your professors, your doubters, your support system. You are where you came from, who you met along the way, and how they made you feel. You are an energy composed of the sum of your parts, your experiences. And what an experience this has been. In a way, you're nearly 200 years of the energy gathered right here at the University of Virginia. And in turn, this university is composed of your energy, today and going forward. 2 centuries of triumphs and failures, love and heartache, collaborations, trial and error, and even days that were unremarkable on the surface. All that energy is not in vain. It's here in this room now. It's palpable. It's as real as your degree. So go spread that energy. Go spread that experience. Make people feel so empowered, so hopeful, so worthy, and so good for having known you and seeing your resilience and failure, your humility and success, that they too can be a force in the world. Pass it on, and the branches of this tree will expand and improve the world with the DNA of the University of Virginia in it. This place made me feel failure, fear, success, humility. It made me feel challenged, and it made me feel fulfilled. How did it make you feel? And what are you going to do with it? Congratulations, class of 2018. Wahoo wah.
Before I can even begin my own farewell remarks for you all today, I ask that you all join me again in another round of applause for that exceptional speech by Cathy. Now, similar to our friend Eric, I too, Mr. Long, was born and raised as a Dallas Cowboys fan. But despite that fact, I truly cannot tell you how humbling it is to share a stage with someone as generous and remarkable as you are. You have truly touched so many communities and so many people, especially this one, that it means a lot to everyone who is here. To our To our distinguished guest, President Sullivan, families, friends, faculty, and of course, the class of 2018, we thank you guys for being here with us for our valedictory exercises. Now, understanding that I am the only thing standing in the way of you all and your reservations at the delicious restaurants in Charlottesville, I really only want to talk with you all today about two things: family and home. Now, for all of us here at UVA today, we have come to understand this journey as a class of 2018 in very different ways. For some of us, this journey began 4 years ago when you received that acceptance letter in the mail and you hopped onto the UVA Facebook page and you jumped on and you started asking the questions: who's gonna be my roommate? Where am I gonna live? And who is this lost boy, Chris Samuel, who keeps posting pictures with 500 hashtags on it? These were the things that kept us up at night. But nonetheless, for some of us, this journey began after attending another college or university, or even serving in the armed forces, and later deciding to continue your education by coming to the University of Virginia. And for some of us, this journey began when you were born and your parents wrapped you up in orange and blue and taught you how to sing the Good Old Song as your first words. I know that exists for some of you. But despite all of this, no matter where your journey began, we all will go through this weekend with one thing in common, and that is that we will all graduate as the class of 2018 of the University of Virginia. And that one thing alone will unite us and keep us as a family. And because of that, and because of my time here at UVA, I have come to understand that family means so much more than the conventional meaning of the people who have raised you and brought you up in life. And I've come to know that greatest at this school in the way that this community has been there for me in my own hardships. In January of 2012, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And as the strongest person I've come to meet in my life, one of the first things she did was she put a smile on her face, and she continued telling us everything's gonna be okay and we're gonna get through this. And so my mom almost immediately went into her first treatment with chemotherapy. And a few months later, she was diagnosed cancer-free. And a few months after that, she went in for a checkup, and the cancer was back. So they put her on a new chemotherapy, and a few months later, it was gone. And then the following checkup, it was back. So they put her on new chemotherapy, and the same result. At this point in time, it was now the fall of 2014, and I was enrolling in the University of Virginia for my first semester. And I was ready to come in because my mom was on her 4th chemotherapy, and this one was finally seeming to work. And it was going to be the one, and we knew in our hearts that would end all. But sure enough, in the spring of 2015, the spring of my first year, the doctors said again that the chemotherapy was not working. And they diagnosed my mom with a rare form of breast cancer called triple negative that is only found in African American women. And to date, it has no cure, and it has no treatment that can slow it down. So the doctors said it could be months, it could be weeks, it could be years, and it could be days. This impacted me beyond words that I can share with you all today. But nonetheless, my mom stayed strong, and she told us to keep doing what we were doing and keep making her proud in everything we did. And so I served that summer here at UVA as an orientation leader with 51 other students where we welcomed in the class of 2019, happily and hopefully. And despite how close I got with those team members of mine, I still went home every weekend and on all of our off days to spend time with my family and my mom. And on July 11th of 2015, that summer, my mom lost her battle to cancer and passed away. And that is a moment that will stick with me for the rest of my life. But equally to that moment is one that came the following week, when I sat down in my church and I looked up in the pew at the funeral and saw the orientation leaders from UVA that I'd been working with all summer. They had never met my mom, they had never met my family, and their only connection to coming down there was because of how they had gotten to know me. And what I learned in that moment is that although there is a seat that will forever sit empty in my family, it is also joined by 100 filled seats from all of you who I would now equally call my family. Family extends so much further than the blood that flows through your body and the flesh that surrounds you. Family, as I come to see it, is about the people who care for you, the people who support you, the people who love you, and the people who make you feel at home. And this brings me to my second and final point for you all, which is home. As we all have come to know, Charlottesville and the University of Virginia has had a rough few years, and a lot of it started with our time here in 2014. When the Rolling Stone article came out, I remember our class as first years not knowing how to feel about this new home that we were in. But nonetheless, we pushed forward. And from conversations I've had with many of you, we all shared a similar awakening after our very first Lighting of the Lawn. And Lighting of the Lawn is an event that started in 2001 after the events of 9/11, where the university community came together and gathered and strung up lights on the lawn and the rotunda and had an evening of reflectance and remembrance as a community. That event has carried on ever since, and during my first year, I had the pleasure of serving on that committee. And after the Rolling Stone article came out, we had a last-minute meeting, and we made some changes to that event. And a few days later, it occurred, and it went off without a hitch. And so I went home that night to my dorm in Courtney over by the Scott Stadium, and I saw my resident advisor, Israel Vaughn, who we called Izzy. And so Izzy and I had a very interesting relationship because he loved to heckle me about every single thing I did. And so I went to him, and I was like, hey, Izzy, this is now your third Lighting of the Lawn. What did you think? And he said, man, it was okay, I guess. And I was like, really? That's the best answer I'm going to get out of you. And he looks me in the eye, and he tells me something that I will never forget. He says, what do you want me to say to you, Malcolm? Do you want me to say that that was the single most inspirational thing I've ever seen in my entire life? Do you want me to say that that was exactly what this community needed to show us that we can be better and give us hope? Do you want me to say that a single tear rolled down my cheek when I saw the rotunda lights come on, because after all these events, I never thought I'd see that again? And do you want me to say that I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of the work that the Lighting of the Lawn Committee has done to remind me why I love this place and why I am happy to call it my home? Because if you want me to say that, I'm never going to do it. But if I did, it would sound exactly like that. And to this very day, every time I bring up this conversation, Izzy absolutely refuses that it ever happened. But he will follow this up by looking me in the eye and giving me a hug. And we both know that in that moment on that night, we came to two realizations about two truths of the University of Virginia. The first of which is it is impossible to deny that the University of Virginia is far from perfect. It has its flaws, it has its imperfections, and it has its history. But the second truth is that it is equally impossible to deny that the University of Virginia is something special. And that something special is something that every administrator, every member of our faculty, every member of our alumnus, and every single member of this graduating class is constantly working to keep and make better for the class of 2022, the class of 2045, the class of 2118, and every single one of them that follows in our footsteps. And so to the class of 2018, as I conclude to you all today, what I want to say is thank you. Thank you for being the members of this community that have been a family to each other and create a place that we can all call home. Thank you for being the leaders that have taken this university as your own and will happily walk the lawn tomorrow and Sunday, knowing that you are leaving it better than you found it. Thank you for giving me one of the most distinct pleasures that I will hold for the rest of my life of serving as your class president for these past few years. As it pains me to know that we are all about to graduate and go our separate ways around the world and across the country, it gives me hope for the planet to know that you all will be the leaders who are going to change it. As Mr. Long mentioned earlier, it's not about saying you've got it, and it's not even about saying I've got it. For us, it's the fact that we've got it. And I trust that the world is going to be in good hands. So to the class of 2018, no matter how far you go from home, always remember that you will have a family and a home right here in Charlottesville waiting for your return. Congratulations, and wahoo wah.